Hey, Spider Nation, welcome back to, well, it's not Spider Man's Tangled Web Show. It's something a little bit different. But I'm Jonathan, and today I'm being joined by James. What's going on, James?
Not much. Sorry about the week delay, but it's because when we got midway through recording this episode last week, uh, I got a call to go to a wedding. I didn't know what was happening until that call, and then so yeah, that's why I apologize, but kind of not really because I met a really cool, awesome chick. So hopefully all the stuff can work through, so we can actually go on that date. So yeah, wish me luck, people, and other than that, I'll get covered for. Also, I'm getting over a cold, so if you see me with cough drops or whatever, and the way I'm sounding, that's why. And just getting ready for it, and just working a lot, working 40 hours, as a bitch, and it's really starting to take a toll on me. But, the paychecks aren't bad. And also, it's Halloween season, so enjoy horror movies and all that fun shit. Okay, so what are you up to, Jan? And you're reading the wrong book, I think.
Oh, what's that? Oh, I'm just reading a comic book by Brian Michael Bendis that actually has a consistent story flow and makes sense.
Ultimate Spider-Man?
No, Daredevil. But anyway, I had a pretty good week. I had like 3 tests. I think I failed one, but the others are fine. So whatever. Keeping
I
that.
failed one, but I didn't like that test, so fuck that test.
Yeah, it's like, I love how Jan considers that a good week.
Yeah, well, it's physics and no one passes, so.
He has money, he doesn't got to worry about those poor people problems like passing their classes.
Yeah, okay, fuck you, James.
Yeah, if Jan ever has worries, he just walks outside to the golf course he lives next to.
Shut the fuck up. You don't even know. Oh, yeah, and I also took on a fool's endeavor to read Stephen King's It. Just look at this fucking book. Like, why did a book about a clown eating kids need to be, longer than the fucking Bible? But
I like how Jan went from, I don't even want to look at the commercials for it, scares the shit out of me, to being reading the book.
Yeah. People change.
All right. Speaking of change, this is kind of a bit of a change for us because we usually talk about only Spider-Man, but we're sort of branching out a little bit. We're going to try this. We're going to try branching out into other Marvel properties and maybe eventually even beyond Marvel properties. And we're starting with Avengers Disassembled. This was James's idea, and the background to this Avengers Disassembled arc is pretty much Marvel said, "Hey Bendis, want to write the Avengers? Okay. Can you get the sales up for us? Okay. I'm going to put Spider-Man and Wolverine on the team. Oh, no, you can't do that. Why not? Because Spider-Man's a loner. But he's been teaming up with heroes since literally Amazing Spider-Man issue 1.
Since he had a book called Marvel Team Up.
But what? Okay. You can't put Wolverine on the team because he's an X-Men. So is Beast. So is however many other freaking people who've been on the Avengers. So it's like...
Okay, Bennett, you can get what you want. Okay, thank you. So I'll put Wolverine and Spider-Man, watch out because the sales go up. And Jessica Jones on Luke Cage and Daredevil and Spider-Man. What was that? Nothing.
So yeah, basically, Bendis gets on Avengers and he says, "Well, I'm gonna make this my Avengers book. I'm gonna really make it. I'm really gonna use the phrase 'make mine Marvel,' and I'm gonna take it to where I want."
There's a reason why some people call this era the Avengers Bendis' pet Avengers.
And so, James, we're gonna do this in a few different segments. James is gonna tackle the first 2 issues, Avengers 500 and 501. Then Jan is gonna tackle Avengers 502. Then I'll tackle Avengers 503. And then James will also tackle the Avengers finale one-shot that is basically just the epilogue to Disassembled. But this arc, Avengers 500 and 501, creators, Brian Michael Bendis is the writer, David Finch is the penciler, Danny Mickey is the inker, Frank Narmada, colorist, RS and Comic Crafts, Albert Deschesney is the letterer, assistant editor, Nicole Wiley, associate editor Andy Schmidt, editor Tom Brevoort, and 501's creative team are basically the same, except for Molly Laser is added as an assistant editor on 501 as well. So James, take us through Avengers 500 and 501.
500 begins with some of the Avengers hanging out at the mansion, and basically a cat shows up, and everybody's like, "Fuck you, cat."
She's new and she's really annoying. Sorry.
The Avengers are all hanging out at the mansion. They're having like breakfast or lunch or whatever, and then Hawkeye's just like, "Yeah, totally would bang this person. Totally would bang that person. Totally did fuck that person. Fuck. I'm Hawkeye. No farm here. No Josh Whedon writing him." And then he's like, "Madam Hydra, I would totally bang her. No questions asked. I would totally just love to bang her." And then they're like, Hawkeye? She's a bad guy. And he's like, so? And then She-Hulk's like, "I think I'm going to puke." And he goes, "Why? Do you not want me to find green-skinned women attractive?" Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. "Oh, Hawkeye, that's slightly racist of a joke to make, but okay, haha, Hawkeye." He's kind of making a joke about She-Hulk because she's green. So isn't that kind of like racist if you think about it?
Hawkeye has become the Quagmire of the Avengers.
He's always been, though, but it's just because now that they're no longer with the Comics Code, they can outright just say he's not just trying to flirt with everyone, he's fucking everyone.
Yep.
That's going on, and She-Hulk's like, "Grow up, be mature. Like me currently in my own title run in my dance slot where I'm singing Chumbawamba songs and don't want to go to work and I just want to party." Because that's our one dance slot shot of the week.
I was going to say, we can't even do a freaking podcast. It's not even a Spider-Man show. We can't do a podcast without taking shots at Dan Slott.
Yep.
Oh, man.
So all of a sudden, their security, intruder alerts is going off because it's telling them that a dead member of the team is trying to get back in the building. Which you think the Avengers will be used to that by now. Dead members showing up and being like, "Hey, I'm alive again, hi!" But whatever. They go, and it's Scott Lang, and he's all like, "Oh, it's Jekka Hartz. He saved my daughter. Must go hug my friend. Whee!" And they're like, "Scott, no!" Because they're all freaking out because he's clearly a zombie. There's no way around it. This guy is a fucking Walking Dead. And then that's going on, and he goes up to him and goes, "Hey, Jekka Hartz, what's up, buddy? Cool to see you're alive again. Well, thanks for sacrificing your life to save my daughter." Kind of weird he looked like a zombie, though. And then, bang! After Jekka Hartz, of course, says, "I'm sorry, Scott," and then he blows up half the building. But what we don't see, since the Child Crusade, is Teenage Vision actually pulled Ant-Man out of here, and just so he can try to bang Scott Lang's daughter, Teenage Vision, that is. And pretty much when all the Avengers come back and they see that skeleton, it's just Jekka Hartz, and they all assume it's Scott Lang. But actually, Scott Lang is like right into the future, like 5 years in the future now, because retcons. But for now, he's dead. Yeah, and then that happened, and they're all like, freaking out kind of because it's like, dude, one of our friends came back as a zombie. And then he blew up.
Boom,
and now
bitch!
Yeah, our life sucks. And then we're at the UN, and, Iron Man's chilling, doing his normal talk, and he's going on talking about, his life, and, well, not his life, but you know what I mean, like, goes on about, like, national security stuff with the UN, and then in some things that are kind of topical now, if you think about it, he's a guy who is rich, millionaire, who got money, from his father and became really rich, and now into politics and is saying stupid things in front of the UN, and there's no way kind of fitting as an allegory for modern day.
Did this book predict the future?
Yes. I was just going to say Tony Stark pulls a Trump.
Only different is at least Trump wasn't drunk that we know of.
Or wearing an iron suit.
Anyways, Iron Man starts noticing that in the front row, a guy from Latveria is sitting there, and then has a shit fit about that. And then he wants to start a nuclear war with Latveria over the fact that the Latvian guy has a front row seat. And then he starts screaming at the guy, and then starts calling out this guy who's like, "What the fuck? I was just voted into the UN. I sat here because it's alphabetical order. What the fuck?" And then he's like, "How dare you sit there? Because one bad guy lives in your country. So because that guy, Victor Von Doom's a douchebag, your whole country deserves to be nuked." And then everybody else in the UN's like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?" And he goes, "First thing I'm going to do is blow up your head. And then I want every country in the world to unleash all their nuclear warheads on Latveria and blow all you up." And then everybody's like, "Wouldn't that cause like the worst case scenario of Fallout, having everybody launching all their nukes on one little country?" "I don't care. Latveria sucks. Fuck you, Dr. Doom." And then they're like, "Okay, Tony, go home. You're drunk. Literally, go home. You're drunk." And then Scarlet Witch shows up and like, "Tony, what the fuck?" And then Hank Pym shows up and is like, "Tony, what the fuck?" And then Tony's like, "Don't you got a wife to go beat Hank?" And Hank's like, "Dude, it was 30 years ago, but still, too soon." and then we cut to him like in the fetal position in a hallway crying. And Wanda's like, "Yeah, what's happened there?" And it's kind of like, all of course, now it's because of her. But he's all like, "Wanda, I know how I get sometimes. And I was drinking, but I wasn't. But somehow I was drunk." And she's like, "Oh, Tony, I felt so bad for you. I thought you were getting better. La-di-la-di-la. I gotta pretend to be sincere because foreshadowing." He's like, "No, Wanda, you don't understand. I wasn't drunk, but somehow I magically got a blood alcohol content that made me want to start a nuclear war with Latveria." And then he's all crying about it. And he's all sad, but then they get their Avengers warning that the shit went down in the building. And then Cap's there, and then not Hydra, but Shield guys are like checking on everybody. They're asking Wasp, they're like, "So what happened, Miss Janet Van Dyne? Is everything okay? Is everything, you need a coffee, you need water?" While, Jarvis is half blown up, like, "Somebody help me." "Shut up, old man. We're helping the Avengers." And then Cap's like, "Hey, respect your elders. I'm old." It's not really what he says. He says this because he goes, "Hey, Jarvis is an Avenger too." But I just imagine him being like, "Hey, respect your elders. Remember, I'm technically 70 fucking years old." So yeah, Cap's like, and of course the soldiers being like, "Yes, Cap." And then as this is going on, Cap's like looking up at the sky and he realizes, "Oh, here comes something's in the air. Is it a bird? No. Is it a plane? No. Is it another DC crossover with Superman? No. Wait, I think that's a Quinjet. Oh, it's probably just Tony and the rest of the team showing up for this call. But why is Vision only in it? Oh my god, hit the deck dock!" And then in a moment that's very much too soon for an actual world event at the time, Vision crashes the Quinjet deliberately right into the other side of Avengers Mansion.
Yikes.
This was 2004. It was way too soon.
It's 2017, and I think this joke is still way too soon. I said joke because that's what it almost kind of felt like that's what Bendis wanted, because he wanted the whole, "Oh my god, it's an allegory for 9/11. Get it? I'm whatever. Like, oh, get it? I'm really smart writer." And it's like, you really could have done this whole scene without that. You could have just had Vision just show up and you say, "Ultron's blah," but no, you have to start it with him crashing into the building because we need that 9/11 allegory in 2004. So yeah, that happens, and then Cap's like, "Vision, what the fuck?" And then Vision's like, "Guys, I'm just gonna tell you right now, somebody's controlling me. It's not me." but somebody's controlling me. Anything I do now, don't blame the robot. But a lot of Ultrons are going to be spit out of my mouth. Blah, and he melts. And so they start fighting Ultrons, and then all the Avengers are like, dude, what the fuck? As they also start fighting all the Ultrons, and then Cap's like, guys, just rip their heads off. That's how we defeat them. It's like the Z putties from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Just hit the Z, but all you hear is just rip off their heads. So they all start like Hawkeye starts putting bows and arrows for the necks, making their heads come off. Cap starts decapitating with their shield. Falcon is just waving his wings at them. And as that's going on, they're fighting, and then She-Hulk is like getting very fucking pissed off by this. And she starts hulking out, and then after the fight, after they take off all the heads of all the Ultrons, she fucking, is like going fucking nuts here. She's turning really like, let's just call it it is. She's turning into the fucking Hulk. Not She-Hulk, but the Hulk. And they're all like, dude, what the fuck? You never do this shit. Bendis is writing me. I can do that now. And then she starts, as her rage is like, Hulk, smash! Hulk, destroy Vision! Hulk! And she rips him in half, destroying any hope of them reprogramming him somehow. Because just ripping him and him melting, totally we could fix him, but her ripping him in half, no, totally we can't fix that. It's not like we got Hank Pym and Tony Stark and Reed Richards and all those guys like phone call away. Totally we can't fix Vision. But now we got 3 dead team members of the Avengers. To be continued. Dun, dun, dun.
And that leads us into Avengers 501.
501 begins with where we left off with the last one, with her She-Hulk going fucking nuts and trying to kill everybody. She starts, fighting Captain America. She starts like, dude, what the fuck? And she's going nuts. She's throwing her shit at him. Literally, she's throwing cars at Captain fucking America. This shit is getting real. And then, as this is going on, Tony's flying around in his suit in that weird Matrix thing that I commented on this to John. It's really fucking weird if you ask me, and it's like, how does this work? And it's like, even showing the movie, how is there this big black void around him if he's in a suit, but it looks like he can just move around freely? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's on a call with Dick Cheney. And this joke's going to get kind of political here, so bear with me. It's just making me enjoy the comics, but it's basically can be summed up as, don't tell George Bush what I did. He already knows. But am I cool? Am I still George Bush's friend? Let's put it this way. I accidentally shot my friend on a hunting trip, and I'm still his friend. You threatened nuclear war on Latveria. But can I still be his friend? No, you can't. But I like him. I'm sorry, but I'm rich and I'm a conservative. Shouldn't I be his friend?
Dude,
No.
I have a Reagan poster in my room. Can I be his friend?
Tony, I'm sorry. It's not us, it's you. I thought, isn't the breakup saying it's not you, it's me? No, Tony, you threatened nuclear war in Latveria. It's definitely you, and you were drunk. But I can change. We're sorry, Tony. Bye. Hangs up. And then Tony, as he flies the Avenger Mansion, starts playing his helmet. All by myself. Don't wanna be all by myself.
We can get away with that because we're not monetized.
I gotta find some way to get back on George W. Bush's good side. I know. I'll sign that Restoration Act thing that people have been talking about in 5 years. That will make George Bush love me again. But yeah, as that's going on, Tony's still, just crying as he flies to the fight, which now is turning into really fucking overkill. Because right when She-Hulk is about to drop a goddamn tank on Captain America's head, killing him, all of a sudden pissed off because he lost his best friend, George W. Bush. Here he comes flying in. I'm the Iron Man! And he punches her in the face. And he's like, I just lost the best friend in my life because of me being a drunken idiot somehow. And now I'm gonna fuck you up. And then he starts eating the shit out of Janet. I mean, out of She-Hulk.
You're getting Hank and Tony confused.
What?
I said you're getting Hank and Tony confused.
I know, because the next page is Hank. Hank turns into, Yellow Jacket, and he turns really big as he knows.
I thought you were gonna make a Hank Pym joke and say like Iron Man lands there and pulls a Hank Pym and just knocks She-Hulk out. But,
no, I meant Tony. Yeah, so Tony starts beating the shit out of her for losing this friend, and then Wasp flies in and then pretty much like a fly, She-Hulk just goes and whacks her away. And then that makes Hank as Giant Man go, you just hit my ex-wife. Nobody can hit my ex-wife but me! And he turns into Giant Man. And I know that joke's really bad, but come on, it's Hank Pym. You can't not make that joke.
Yep. So
he shrinks down really small, and he takes Janet's body, and he gets the fuck out of there. And then Cap's, being looked at as doctors, and he wants to rejoin the fight, and then Sam's like, Steve? Yeah, shit's getting real. You're kinda not in the, right, body to, go in here and fight some more. And he's like, well, I'm Captain America, I have to. And then we see all the Avengers who are hurt. We see his daughter, Ant-Man's daughter in the hospital, and people are like, should we tell her dad's dead? Should we totally tell her dad's dead? We see, Jessica being kept in by S.H.I.E.L.D. and containment. We see Scott Tang's autopsy. And then we see Hank Pym like, I'm sorry, Janet. Come on, Janet, wake up. Wasn't that bad when I hit you. I'm jealous. And I know these jokes are really bad, but it's Hank Pym. What do you expect?
I made one earlier. It's cool.
And then Falcon, Captain America, Hawkeye, and Iron Man are like, yeah, well, this was really fucked up today. But I think we all learned a valuable lesson. Don't get drunk in the UN in front of nuclear war, or you will lose your best friend in your life. Tony, priorities! Sorry. And then they're all talking, and they're all like, so, we gotta do something. And then Tony's like, all sad, and the Cap's like, wait, what did you do, Tony? What did you do to make the UN pissed off at the Avengers? You were drunk again, weren't you? I'm not gonna say I was drinking, but I'm definitely not gonna say I was sober. Tony! What the fuck? And then everybody starts getting mad, and they all start yelling at each other, and then, they're probably gonna start fighting, you would think, but no, actually they don't. It's just Iron Man like, you know what? I lost the best friend of my life. I somehow relapsed for not thinking about it, and my band is breaking up. This day fucking sucks. Bye! And he flies away. And then they're all still talking. And they're talking. And they talk some more. And it's more blah, 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 about what they should do. And I'm exaggerating because that's what happens right now. Because it's what Bendis is famous for. A whole bunch talking. And that's all they fucking do right here. They just talk. And talk. And they talk. And then more superheroes show up. And then they start talking. And then that's how the issue ends.
Okay, James, what did you think of these first two issues?
Can I sum them up in a few short words? Dude! What the fuck? You got She-Hulk becoming the Hulk. Because Bendis. You got Avengers dying in very gruesome fashion because Bendis. You got Tony being drunk, but not really, because we find out later on in the book why. Because Bendis. It was really fucking weird. And the political stuff is just so weird because either it was an allegory for the George Bush administration. Like, look at Tony Stark being a crybaby over losing his job with President Bush. To weird predicting Donald Trump's presidency in the future, kind of freaky ways. And it's kind of like life imitating art, I guess you could say. How they were trying to get political in the Bush administration, but now it kind of fits now with the political landscape of the world. And just more of the stuff like them all fighting, they're all dying, and what the fuck is going on in this book? It is completely fucking batshit crazy. Like, look at 500. You have a character come back to blow up half the mansion, and then the greatest enemy in Avengers history, Ultron, shows up as a million little robots. And you would think, oh, the Avengers will destroy them and the day is safe. No, this is the beginning of literally just like a depressing, let's murder, rape, destroy, and kill every Avenger that we can because they're laying fuck them. I don't want to write about them. It couldn't simply just be, I don't want to write with these characters so they're leaving the team. No, they have to fucking die.
All right, James, any other thoughts? Do you give these issues thumbs up, sideways, or down?
I give them both a thumbs up. But it's still a really good read, but in that batshit crazy, like, what the fuck kind of good kind of read.
Okay, Jan, what about you?
These two issues felt as though if you took the Civil War movie, Family Guy, and One Moment in Time, and put those things and some Clone Saga in there, and put those in a blender. That's what this felt like to me. It's just I think my reaction as well was also, dude, what the fuck, to a lot of things. They were I laughed out loud when when Hank Pym's like, Tony, calm down. And then Tony's like, don't you have a wife to beat? I actually laughed out loud because it was so out of nowhere, and it was an internet meme come true. I don't know. That was really funny. And then
I just want to clarify again, when I made a lot of, Hank Pym beating his wife jokes, I do not condone women violence. I mean, I can proudly say in my life, there might be some women I can say I hate, but I have never ever physically, when I say physically, I mean a hitting way on a woman. I have never physically hit a woman. I would never do that. I don't condone any man who would do that. You are scum beneath my foot if you even think about ever laying your hands physically, violently on a woman. You are fucking scum on the face of the earth. But because Hank Pym has become such a joke and a tool because of it, it's just you can't help but just anytime they make a joke, or when there's even unintentional jokes about it, making the joke. You know what I mean? Because it's Hank Pym, and it's a fictional character. I think it's because it gets a pass to a lot of comic fans.
No, I mean,
because you can't make the joke when he gets mad when She-Hulk beats the shit out of Janet. You can't help but make that joke. So I just want to clarify. I apologize. It was a joke, and I do not condone man-on-woman violence.
No, I don't condone man-on-woman violence either, but the jokes can still be funny. It doesn't mean that you approve of the, that's not. But so that stuff was so weird, and then Ultron shows up, and then they deal with that, and then hey, what do you want? Just stay off the table, please. Okay. And then the Ultron stuff kind of starts and ends, and then Vision gets killed off in the most disrespecting way. He gets ripped in half, and then they're like, we'll just put him in a vault for 10 years, because Bendis doesn't like Vision, and I don't know. The two issues were very just random, whole bunch of what the fuck moments and hilarity. Everyone was reduced to their most kind of stereotypical random stereotype of what they are. I think the only character who came out not feeling like a self-parody was Captain America and maybe Falcon. I feel those two were pretty much what I'd expect them to be. But Iron Man is the Family Guy parody of Iron Man. Hawkeye was Quagmire, redesigned to look like Hawkeye from, it was, everyone felt, and She-Hulk was kind of a parody, Hank Pym, that was kind of a parody, it was, I don't know, it's the stereotype, this SNL skit Avengers almost. It was really weird, but it was entertaining to read. So
the Tony stuff I can forgive because it's supposed you're seeing him as drunk, so when he's acting out of character, that's why you're seeing him as drunk at a party. You're supposed to be uncomfortable and dude, that's not you, stop. But it's when you get to him in the car, well, not in the car, but he's in his suit flying off, and he's basically trying to apologize and doing it's one thing to try to apologize to keep your job and keep your Avengers, because that's what he's saying. He's oh, I'm trying to keep my job instead of security because the Avengers is work with the UN, and it's them pretty much saying we're gonna fire you from the UN and we're not gonna use the Avengers no more to set them up to be more, street level for new Avengers. But it's just like you read between the lines, it's clearly Tony just does not want to lose his friends because at this time Marvel was really hitting you over the head with Tony Stark's rich, so he's a Republican. Boo! Like they're really hitting you over the head with that kind of mindset of him. Like there's an Iron Man book around the same time. I think it's the Iron Man Disassembled storyline where one of the senators say to him, he goes, well, we got to do something or else the liberals are going to have a field day with that. They don't understand how great George Bush and his politics are. And it's like, you're getting way too political for a comic than I wanted when your whole plot line is Tony Stark is going to stop a meteorite from hitting the Earth because it's going to prove to the liberals how awesome and great George W. Bush is. That's getting very political in the comic book, if you ask me. When the whole character motivation is not saving the planet from an asteroid, but making George Bush look good. That is like, and it's done as a parody of, see, look how much of a political tool Tony is. And it's like, okay, moving on.
All right, my thoughts on these two issues. I kind of reflect James's whole like dude WTF, like both of your like dude WTF kind of stances on this, but it's like I actually really like these comics just because of the fact that they are just like.
Well, I did too. That's why I gave it the passing thumbs up. I like Disassembled. It's a fun read, but but it's fun, and it's nostalgic for me because it's like one of the first Avengers stories I read. So it had to be because that teenager and be like, dude, everybody's fucking dying. It's so badass.
I'm just like I'm like I read these comics and I'm just like, you know what? I enjoy this. It's like, oh, here's Ultron out of nowhere, and here's here's She-Hulk going crazy.
How do you enjoy these and not the current Spectacular Spider-Man? Like I don't understand that.
These are good comics.
These are not good comics. These are like.
And so it's like, oh, here's Tony drunk in front of the UN, and basically he's just like, wouldn't it be really funny if I just wiped this asshole off the face of the earth right now? And it's like, Tony, you're drunk. It's like, go home, Tony Stark. You're drunk, basically.
I don't think I can rephrase this anymore. Tony Stark wanted to start a nuclear war where every single country in the world launches all their warheads at one little tiny Latveria, all over the fact the guy has a front row seat.
Yeah, it's like, and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna, I'm wearing a superpowered weaponized suit. I'm just gonna blow this fucker's head off.
Seen a lot more better if it would have been like the Latvian guy trying to say, Doctor Doom should run the world. Doctor Doom is so awesome. Doctor Doom, like he's clearly like talking about Doctor Doom should be running the planet and that everybody should bow before Doom and all this stuff. And then Tony gets really in that heated debate with him and friends the guy. You know what I mean? This was literally just, how do we make Tony Stark like a complete douchebag? I know, he gets mad at the guy has a front row seat.
He just gets mad because the guy's sitting there doing nothing. And so it's like, yeah. So it's like, that was funny to me. Like, I thought it was funny. And I like the artwork. I think the artwork is like gritty enough to where it's like kind of dark, but it's not so depressing that it like completely destroys the comic.
Yeah, David Finch is a really good artist in general. Like I like a lot of his work. So
it's like I liked all that. I like I really like the moment with Captain America and Jarvis where he's like, you speak to this man as if you were speaking to me. As far as I'm concerned, he's an Avenger. I'm like, that's what Cap would say.
Artwork, but the problem I have with him is a problem with a lot of artists is that his characters look all the same.
Yeah.
Like, his Peter Rogers is just a blonde. It's just a blonde hair guy. His Peter Parker is just a slightly smaller, skinnier version of that. His Tony Stark gets add a mustache. His woman is just change her hair color.
I don't disagree with you, but I honestly don't care. That doesn't ruin. Like I think it's really good art. I think he's a great artist on grittier books. Like I've read a little bit of the Moon Knight that he drew, and I think he fits perfectly for that. And I love his Batman.
I gotta admit, when I was a teenager, I used to like his artwork just because I thought he drew the women like really fucking hot. Because they were always in miniskirts and shit like that. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. But now looking back at his artwork or reading his current Batman stuff, it's like, can't you draw any other physique for a woman? Because literally you just change the hair color. It's just all mini skirts, long legs, and whatever hair color the character is, and then you're done.
Okay, I'm gonna be a fanboy for a second. Sean, pull that Iron Man action figure back out again. What armor is that? Is that the
6?
dude? That's my favorite.
Yeah, it's the best. Sorry, I've had this literally sitting here for the last 40 minutes, and I've just been staring at it because I'm like, that's a good figure.
Wait, is that the one from Civil War?
Yeah.
Oh, I prefer the one from Homecoming with the silver slightly, which is like Jack's design. But
sorry, viewers, I caused the tangent. I'm sorry.
I just imagine you look at the Tony Stark thing like, oh, Tony, you were so sober for so long.
Yeah.
Why you gotta be such a douchebag in this comic?
All right, but Avengers 502. Let me run down the creative team, Jan, just real quick. 502, literally the same creative team. So 502, Jan, what happens?
So when we last left off, Captain America and the other Avengers showed up, and pretty much every Marvel hero ever was standing in front of the Avengers mansion. And then they proceed to have a conversation. And Moon Knight's kind of like, "Hey, why am I here? I'm just a dude who dresses in like a white cloth and like throws moon-shaped pieces of metal at people." And Daredevil was like, "Why am I here? I got the whole media scandal to deal with in my own book. Like I'm just gonna like stand here and then facepalm at one point in the background in the next issue." So then they're just kind of talking about like whatever, like kind of pointing fingers, and like the UN announces like officially disavowing. That might have happened last issue, I can't remember. But like the UN is like, okay, we don't back the Avengers anymore. So then everyone is just like, there's a lot of pissed off like general finger pointing and like, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. Your fault. Like it's like one of those scenes in the
well Jan, imagine you're having like one of the worst days of your life, and then all of a sudden your boss calls and says, "Hey, you're fired by."
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not bitching about it. So then they're all just kind of pointing fingers, like, "It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. Your fault. Your fault." And then, "No, I disagree, sir. It's your fault." And then all of a sudden, fucking aliens show up and start attacking them, like just out of fucking nowhere. Aliens show up, and it's the Kree.
Yeah,
it's the Kree.
Yeah, it's the Kree warship.
The Kree starts running around, and then we're fighting, and Spider-Man like makes some jokes because he's there for some reason.
Because Bendis.
And then they're just kind of fighting aliens, and the whole time Daredevil's probably hiding behind a car because he's a man with 2 batons. He has literally nothing to do against aliens or whatever. I don't even know. And then like Hawkeye fucking like goes like, "Never again," or something. What does he say? I forget what he says.
Not like this. Not like this.
And then he blows himself up. And that was the point where I'm like, okay, this book is a fucking meme. Like this is like the 4th like major death we've had. Like, and it's not even like, I mean, at least the Hawkeye got to go down swinging. I feel like the Vision death was really disrespectful, and I feel like the Ant-Man death, Scott Lang, was kind of disrespectful. And then we're kind of on the fence about whether Janet survives. I think, did she die? Was this her death?
No,
Secret Invasion is.
Yeah, she gets back up.
And then, sorry, my cats are being really annoying in the background. So then, oh my God, what was I saying? So then there's an alien invasion. Hawkeye fucking dies, and then Captain America and some other guy who I don't remember interrogate one of the Kree, and the Kree's like, "Yeah, fucking Bendis teleported into the Marvel universe and fucking told us to show up for this one scene, so here we are." And then Captain America's like, "Oh," and then all the fucking Krees like vanish, and then the Avengers are kind of like, "The fuck was that?" And then Doctor Strange shows up and is like, "Hey guys, so Bendis sent me to just like tell you guys what's happening because we need to wrap this up in another issue."
You did the wrong hand gesture. It says, "Hey guys, what's up?"
So fucking Bendis was like, we need to. Okay, oh my God, the fucking animals are like just.
But that segues nicely into Avengers 503.
You can go on. I'm gonna do something.
And so basically, we get to this issue. And we start with a flashback to Wanda, Janet, and Clint basically hanging around the pool at Avengers Mansion. And Janet's like, "Oh, so I thought I was pregnant with Hawkeye's baby a few days ago." And Wanda's like, "Shit, were you? Oh, no, it was just a scare. But can you imagine that? Me with a child? Superheroes should not have kids. And you thought you could have 2. And Wanda's like, "What?" And Janet's like, "Oh, nothing. I gotta go to the bathroom. You gotta go to the bathroom? I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Bye." And so Wanda's like, "Huh." And so back in present day, uh, uh, Carol Danvers is like, Doctor Strange, what are you talking about? What's going on here? And Doctor Strange is like, oh yeah, the magics are being abused. Oh, so it's just an illusion. You can bring everyone back then. Oh no, sorry, I can't do that. And so then it's like, then we go to a flashback.
Until Wanda does that in House of M.
And so then we go to another flashback, and Wanda goes to Agatha, and she says, hey, why do people think I had kids? And Agatha's like, ah, fuck. Well, it's very simple. When a mommy and a daddy love each other very much.
Except your daddy was a robot. So that couldn't happen.
And so that's a segue. They cut back to present day, and people are like, no, Wanda couldn't possibly have had a mental breakdown. Wanda couldn't possibly have done this. And Spider-Man's like, she married a robot. And everyone's just like, dude, WTF? And Spider-Man's just like, what? She married a robot. If I was dating a robot, you'd all talk about me behind my back. And Falcon's just like, get the fuck out of here, man. Because it's basically, it's Bendis writing Ultimate Peter because Bendis.
Yeah.
And so then Doctor Strange is like, so, let me just put it this way. Wanda has powers over reality that she can't control. She was born with them. She didn't earn them. She doesn't know how to control them. Because I tried to train her once, but she kept blowing me off because she had to go hang out with you people, so I never finished the training. Because I never, even though I knew how important it was, I never emphasized the importance to her because, wow, I'm really starting to see how this was my own damn fault. Okay, bye. No, that's
meanwhile,
not
Daredevil, in the background, you literally see Daredevil going like this at one point. Just like, what the fuck? What am I doing here? Why am I not just stopping muggers?
You can see why people said this is the beginning of Marvel's downfall, because you can see how every character, I kid you not, every fucking character in the Marvel universe is starting to become very unlikable in this book.
And then Daredevil's just in the background, just going like, what the fuck is happening?
So Doctor Strange basically just says, yeah, so Wanda has powers over reality, and she gets very stressed out by that because if you could change reality by just having a thought, you have to learn to control that. And she gets very stressed out by that. It's kind of just
Dude,
natural.
he's not the only one facepalming. Black Widow's doing too. She's like...
Yeah, Daredevil and Black Widow were just like, okay, why are we here?
And so then Doctor Strange is basically like, so if you were that stressed out all the time, don't you think you'd have a nervous breakdown? Maybe. Yeah, there's Daredevil having a facepalm.
Yep.
And her with the two.
And there's Black Widow. Yeah, so it's like, so Doctor Strange is like, so don't you think you'd have a nervous breakdown too if you had that much stress on your shoulders? Maybe. So you see how this makes sense now? Maybe. No, it does make sense. It makes the most sense of anything I've ever said in my life. Damn. So they go to this Agatha woman's place, and Wanda has basically created an alternate reality that she's seeing. And Captain America's like, hey, can we talk? We're banging in my solo book right now, so can we talk? And Wanda through her children is speaking like, no, he's gonna break the family up again. And Caps is like, please, Wanda, I just want to talk. You're sick. You're having a breakdown. None of this is real, Wanda. None of it's real. And Wanda's just like, here's some Nazis, here's Red Skull, bang, 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 bang. And so Cap.
I just imagine her saying that. Nazis, Red Skull, bang, bang, bang. And she runs away.
And so Cap, he covers himself with his shield, but he gets shot out the window, and then Wanda's just levitating over everyone, and everyone's outside, and Carol Danvers is like, I'm gonna rip your head off, and then all of a sudden Rogue shows up out of nowhere to fight Carol because obviously Wanda's digging into everyone's past, and Wanda's like, what is the absolute what is the most dickish thing I could throw at Carol? Rogue, boom. And so then everyone starts fighting. Hulk shows up. There's Spider-Man clones and Hulk and Red Skull, and it's like, oh man, Wanda's just out of control. And then Doctor Strange shows up and he's like, nope. And so he basically does a spell on her mind and knocks her out. And Cap catches her and he's like, no. And then Nick Fury walks inside. He sees Agatha and she's literally reduced to nothing. And Fury's like, jeez. Oh my gosh. And so then Magneto shows up. He's like, "Give me my daughter." And then they fly. And then so they give her to Magneto. He flies away, takes her to Charles Xavier, who does some work on her mind. And then all the Avengers fly home. Dun dun dun. I'm gonna start with my thoughts first. Wow, just wow. Okay, here's my thing.
I have a question. Maybe you guys can explain it, and this will segue into John's opinion. So was Ultron caused by because early in the book they're like, so maybe Ultron just at some point in the history set up a failsafe that he would just send some drones to make attack the Avengers whenever they have a code white, just to like rub dirt in the wound or whatever. So did Ultron just happen to have that happen, or was Ultron another?
No, they say all of this was made up by Wanda. And so here's the thing.
Wanda's not the mastermind behind this to be Red Children's Crusade.
Here's the thing.
There's another person in the corner who actually was controlling everything, and you can almost say maybe this was the plan from the beginning, since it tied into a certain UN scene.
So Wanda having a nervous breakdown. Honestly, the explanation Doctor Strange gives is actually pretty plausible. It's like, okay, she just cracked under the stress after a while. It doesn't make what she did that doesn't make it right or even slightly good, but it's like you understood why she had the nervous breakdown. So okay. And then it's like, okay, Cap goes in there, he tries to reason with her. That's Captain America, that's good writing. And then she's just like, oh, here's Red Skull, bang, 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 bang. And it's like, okay. And it's like, okay. And then it's like, oh, there's Spider-Man clones and Hulk. And it's like, okay, let's hit everyone with the worst thing we could possibly hit them with. Spider-Man, clones. Ms. Marvel, Rogue. Captain America, Red Skull. Okay, maybe that's the second worst thing. The worst thing would probably be freezing him on ice again, but... Okay, so it's like, okay, that makes sense. And then 502, having to go back to it, 502, the Kree just show up out of nowhere, and Nick Fury's like, hey, Shield Command, you getting any readings on that? What? We're not reading anything. Okay, look out the damn window then, you asshole. You have eyeballs. And they're like, holy shit! And so then, yeah, it's like, and then I like that Nick Fury was able to figure out, hey, these guys have us at a total disadvantage. Why are they sending in ground troops? Something about this doesn't smell right. So it's like, I like these two issues because they're just so batshit nuts. This whole event is just so batshit. It's like, okay, let's throw in every crazy idea we can. Ultron, check. The Kree, check. Wanda having a nervous breakdown, check. Spider-Man being a dick, well, that's Bendis' thing, so check. It's like, oh my gosh. I like these two issues, I really do. I like Disassembled. Jan, do you like Disassembled?
I don't think it's offensive, really. It's not like Omit, where I was kind of my blood pressure was being raised by reading it or anything like that. But I think it's definitely just like a clusterfuck that's not objectively a good comic. It's fun to read. I don't think it's actually it's as art, to be a douchebag and talk about comics as art. It's not good or anything like that. But I think there's plenty of fun to be had while reading it. Once again, for me, the thing that made this whole arc worthwhile was just Daredevil face palming in the background, because Daredevil, as he often does, emulated exactly what I would do or what I would how I would react in a given situation. And Daredevil was just going in the background what the fuck is happening? Why am I here? What? And then so that, I'm like, okay, I feel you, Matt. I don't know what's going on either, buddy. And then Magneto shows up for a page and stuff, and then Doctor Strange, I love how he just floats in and just kind of tells them the story, because Bendis needed to wrap the story up in an issue. So he's like, I'll just call in Doctor Strange and just tell him what happened. I don't understand the whole how the plot works exactly, but whatever. I don't really care. So there you go. I don't know. It's fine. It was fun to read. It was the hour that it took me to read it wasn't an hour that I regret spending on it. So there you go.
James, how about you?
What the fuck? This book gets really batshit crazy. We already touched about Spider Douche, and the reasonings behind that is because Bendis, when he wrote Peter, when he said he wanted to write Spider-Man as a member of the Avengers, what he really meant was he wanted to write Ultimate Peter as a member of the Avengers. And how can you tell the difference between Bendis writing Ultimate Peter and 616 Peter? Well, Bendis writing Ultimate Peter is actually written competently, and him kind of being a douchebag, wisecracking teenager makes sense. 616 Peter, written by Bendis, is all those things that I said that makes him sound like an immature 15-year-old, but he has a quip about being married.
Katie?
Yes, you got that. You got Doctor Strange coming in like, you guys really fucked up!
What were you doing, Doctor Strange? Oh, I was meditating.
I'd like to think Doctor Strange said it with exactly that voice, like, you guys really fucked up!
And then...
and then that's when Daredevil face palms. It's like, this is why I stayed in the streets.
And then, yeah.
You guys really fucked up!
I turned my phone off for one damn meditating session, and all this shit happens.
He's like sitting there meditating, and his phone's going like.
I like it how he's like, I can't fix anything. If they're dead, they're dead. Magic can't fix death, even though it says happened before and it's happened after, including Wanda when she brought back half these people who died.
Oh, I can't bring anyone back, but Wanda with one sentence can say, no more mutants. That's in House of M, but still.
I never read House of
M. And then I kind of like how he goes, there is no, her hexing magic, is her mutant ability, that's bullshit. There's no such thing as a hex magic. It's just magic, and she's a fucking idiot who doesn't know how to use it. Because she won't go to school and learn from me.
Yeah.
All right, James, any other thoughts?
In the final issue, it gets really fucking, good. I like the moments where she just, starts losing it. And I do love how creepy it is. With the whole, the family. Because Cap's mentioning how he's banging her and all this stuff. Well, not really, but he's all like, you're close to me. And then you realize if you look at her ideal kitchen family, Vision's sitting there too.
Oh, that sucks. That must suck for Cap.
And then, the other thing, the whole poolside, let's have an excuse to show both Wanda and Janet, in their bathing suits. They couldn't just do that whole, talk, anywhere else. They had to make sure that they were tanning in their bikinis. Yeah, that's going on, and I love it how there could have been a simple way for Janet to solve the problem, but of course, because she had to be a dumbass, she just left. When she said the line, and you thought you could have two, she never outright said you had two kids. She said you thought you could have two. All she had to do when Wanda goes, what are you talking about? All she had to go is, remember you mentioned it one time when you were drunk. Oh. There, solves the problem. You mentioned that when you're drunk you wanted to have twins one day. There you go. Problem solved, but no, we had to have this book.
Disassembled and everything after is officially Janet's fault.
And then, here's the one thing. You know how we brought up the fact that this is all Wanda's fault and we're trying to figure out whose fault this is? Do you guys want to know what the retcon is, whose fault this is? Who caused her to have her nervous breakdown like this?
Let me guess. Is it...
What?
Is it Overdrive? Overdrive.
What Marvel character who's a villain, who is an established villain who you can make to be the bad guy, who makes sense for being the reason why Wanda went nuts and wanted to turn against the Avengers?
Lance Bannon.
No, I mean a legit answer.
Loki?
Dormammu?
No.
Loki?
Who has a connection to Wanda?
Magneto.
No, you're both wrong. It's Doom. Because Doom wanted her to have her breakdown so the Avengers would fire her and try to kill her, so she would come to Doom. Doom would seduce her, make her fall in love with him. They would get married, and then he would steal her magic and become God.
There's a lot of seducing going on in this book.
Literally. So when we brought the part about the Latvian guy and the douchebag, little does Tony know somewhere in Latveria, Doom's like, it's all going to plan.
If your plan involves someone threatening nuclear war to your country, if that is part of your plan, you have a very bad plan.
Didn't do that.
What?
Doom probably knew that they were going to fire Tony for that.
I know, but it's like
Doom had nothing to worry about.
I know, but it's like if that's part of your plan, you're pretty screwed up.
Doom probably has a nuclear bunker, and he said, "Well, fuck with my people. I'm Doom."
I have an observation to make. The Avengers need to just fire Wanda and never let her be on the team, because here she causes everything to go wrong. And then in Avengers Age of Ultron, it's her messing with Tony's head that creates Ultron. And then in Civil War, it's her being a dumbass and throwing a bomb into a building that causes the Civil War to happen. So Wanda is at the root of like all the Avengers made problems in like most media in the last 10 years. And thus
the reason why the movies, I think they did that stuff with Wanda is because they're playing off on Disassembled.
Yeah, probably.
They want you as a fan to immediately go, are we going to get Disassembled as a movie? That's what they are. Anytime when Quicksilver dies and she screams, my first fucking thought is Disassembled. when she's fucking with all their minds in that one scene, my first thought is House of M.
Oh yeah, can we talk about the fucking fact that Scarlet Witch just like kind of wanted to have kids and got herself pregnant? Like what the fuck? Like that was my big like.
It's magic.
It's magic, Jan.
What the fuck? That's so weird. That's like a fucked up idea. Like Bendis.
That's the point of magic, Jan. It's screwed up.
Like sitting at his laptop, going like, and then Scarlet Witch got herself pregnant. It's like,
you know what else the sad thing is? She had those kids in the past. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the thing before Bendis.
Yeah, and then they retcon those kids away as magic because eventually, when those idiot kids that were reading comics in the 60s, 70s, and just took it as, okay, she married a robot and they had 2 kids, eventually they got adults and they realized, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. How does her fucking a robot get her kids? They eventually had to explain it away as magic?
Yep.
All right, let's move on to Avengers finale.
To quote Joe Quesada, it's magic. We don't have to explain it.
Only they did use magic to explain it.
Yeah.
Avengers finale, James. Let me say the creative team here. Creative team, Brian Michael Bendis is writer, and there's a lot of freaking artists on this book.
Can we say that every Marvel writer who probably was, artist that was working for Marvel at the time, just say that?
Pretty much. Okay,
so
James.
If you were a Marvel writer in 2004, we're giving you credit right now by just lumping you all together.
If you were a Marvel artist in 2004 and you didn't work on this book, well, enjoy the false credit anyways.
Yep.
Anyways, this book, we can actually make this book go really fastly. They are faster, or whatever, I said it wrong English, sorry. They're all reading, they're all sitting there at the burnt down old mansion, having a toast to all their dead teammates. They all think, it basically becomes a clip show. Hey, remember that one time we fought the Kree? Hey, remember the one time we did that? Hey, remember that time we wanted to marry the Vision that started all these problems? Hey, remember the one time this happened? Hey, remember the one day when this guy joined the team? Hey, remember this guy? He's dead now. Toast to all the dead Avengers. And then they're all toasting each other. And then one of them's like, let's do a toast for, Scott. Let's do a toast for Jack of Hearts. Let's do a toast for Scott. Let's do a toast for Vision. And then finally somebody's like, let's do a toast for Wanda. And they're all like, no, fuck you. And they do it anyways. And they all walk out the door. And they see all the people in New York City mourning the Avengers. The end.
Yeah, it's basically...
1 month later, they were back in New Avengers.
Yeah, it's basically just like... It's just like, hey, this is the epilogue. Oh, this is a celebration. So here's a thing from the Kree Skrull War, and here's a thing from Thanos, and here's a thing with, all this other, the Masters of Evil, and all this other stuff. Jan,
what I think fucks this up is the fact that it's like a clip show, but they're making out like we're never gonna be Avengers again, guys, and it's like literally a month later when New Avenger starts.
Yep.
Yeah, so Jan, I forgot, didn't read this comic. So James, what do you think?
I read it. This comic was awesome. I read it.
James, what'd you think?
Like I said, it's a good read. It's not really much though. It's a lot filler for an epilogue to the original first 500 plus issue of the Avengers. It was very much just they sit there and talk, which is like a Bendis joke in itself. The sit there and talk book. But you kind of felt like there should have been a little bit more of the team breaking up, but it's not because Bendis knows they're not officially breaking up, kind of. Because he's doing New Avengers next month, so he knows that there's going to be a version of the team a month later. But it's like played off here. It's like they're just all getting together and having a drink and like toasting the Avengers and they're mourning them. And it's like none of you have officially ever said you're leaving the team. You're all just showing up and assuming everybody's breaking up. Nobody has outright said, yeah, the Avengers are no more. They just come and going, well, I guess it's our last meeting because Wanda fucked things up. It's like, what? But the rest of it's really good. But it's just like those are little problems. I think a much better version of these finales was when he did the New Avengers one, because it actually tied up loose ends of his run on New Avengers, like the first 50 plus issues until he restarted it back with Avengers 1. He did another finale issue, and it's actually good because, like I said, it tied in the loose ends. It was the Avengers finally taking down the Hood and his gang, and the Superhero Resurrection Act came to a close. It was actually, wrapping up loose ends in that Avengers storyline. This one is just they drink, they talk, and they say, hey, remember when this happened? Hey, remember when that happened? It's a clip show. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right. My thoughts, basically, it's a clip show. It's a nice clip show. There's really nothing else I could say. It's a clip show. There's really nothing else I could say. It's good, it's enjoyable, but if you don't read it, you're not missing anything, really. So that's really it. That's it for this little pilot episode of our kind of spin-off branch. Right now, we're just calling it SMTWS Presents, and then whatever we're talking about that week. If we ever come up with an official title, we'll change it to that. But right now, we don't have a title, so yay for unpreparedness, I guess.
Yep.
So, James, any final shout-outs or words to the listeners before we sign off?
Shout out to the Packers. Kill the Cowboys.
No, we do not condone. We do not condone killing Cowboys. We do not condone that, James.
You do know I meant on the football field, right? I did not mean for people to legitimately end their life. You do get that I was saying go Packers, kill the Cowboys, meaning I want them to beat them in the football game.
I know,
I think
James.
anybody watching our show, John, would understand that when a Packer fan says kill the Cowboys, he doesn't literally mean kill a football team.
I know, but James, you know what? You can't be too careful. Jan, any final shout-outs or words to the listeners before we sign off?
I have quite a few because I'm going to be a douche and do that thing where I keep going with shout-outs. My first shout-out, since we've last talked, I binge-watched all 23 episodes of Supernatural Season 12. I think that might be one of their best seasons, and I think any show that is able to deliver one of the best seasons 12 years in, still kicking ass and taking names, I think that's pretty impressive, so I'm going to give a shout-out to that. I'm really excited for Season 13, which starts a week. I'm going to give a shout-out to The Flash. Season 4 starts on Tuesday, and I think it'll be really good. Like, all the news I've heard gets me excited. Like, he has a new suit. It looks better. They said they're going to go back to the lighthearted, kind of fun tone of Season 1. The Thinker is the main villain, so not a speedster. So he'll actually be the fastest man alive this year, and not like one of the top 5 fastest men alive in the given multiverse of the ones he's met. And I'm also going to give a shout out to Stephen King's It. The book is pretty good so far. I'm like 100 pages in, very well written. It's a little bloated. Like, there's several pages that I think you could cut out and not really miss anything, but that's fucking Stephen King. So there you go. Those are mine.
My shout-outs this week, Marvel, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, thank you for the Avengers. Let's see.
Get a guy to get that thing he always does for Spider-Man, but it's for the Avengers because we did the Avengers this week.
Yeah, so I was like, man, how do I was like, I had to adapt for a second.
Yeah.
Other shout outs. This Iron Man figure. I like this figure a lot.
Badass. I wish he had the silver from Homecoming, but the Mark 47 is my favorite. But that's a pretty badass.
This
figure.
is Mark 46, Jan, so that's why he doesn't have the silver.
Yeah, I'm just saying I prefer the Mark 47, but it's this like the second best armor.
Yeah. What else? What else do I want to shout out to? I got nothing. So, shout out to Jan, whatever golf course Jan lives next to.
Oh.
All right. We will see you all next week. Next week we will be doing a Spider-Man show because we've got quite a few Spider-Man comics to catch up on. ASM 789 comes out this coming week, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Spec, Renew Your Vows, Ben Reilly, all that.
And I'll catch up on the cartoon.
Oh yeah, the cartoon. That's a thing.
And expect more negativity from me about the cartoon since I've not been thrilled with the last few episodes.
Oh yeah, the cartoon. That's a thing. All right. So. Yeah, next week is Spider-Man. The week after, who knows? But
We'll figure that.
Until then, thank you all for watching.